Good evening. I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor, and it's currently Wednesday, April 29th, and it's just a few minutes before 7 o'clock, and I want to do today's daily recap of events that affect your ability to get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. You may not know, but the U.S. right now is basically 4% of the world population. We also have roughly 20% of all the COVID deaths, though. Now, the current confirmed COVID cases right now total over 1,030,000 cases right now. Over 60,000 cases, actually 60,000 deaths right now. It's been a rough day here. Still getting used to new equipment. And that's 60,000 deaths in just 9 weeks. Again, that is higher than the entire total of 20 years of war in the Vietnam War. Of all the deaths, all the missing in action, all the killed in action, we exceeded in just basically 3 months what the U.S. did in 20 years of war. And there are major protests to that war. Now, not all particularly bad news right now. Is about 116, almost 117,000 people that have actually recovered from their COVID cases. New York State still leads the way with just under 300,000 cases right now, 299.7 thousand cases right now. And they have roughly 23,000 deaths. 18,000 of those are in New York City by itself. Now, New Jersey has the highest number of deaths, the second number highest, and it's 116,000 cases right now. I'm sorry, 116,000 cases, and 6.7 thousand deaths right now. So the deaths between New Jersey and New York are a lot, but they are slowing a little bit, which is sort of nice. Okay. Each one of these cases, though, each death is a personal tragedy, and I don't want to ever forget about that. And it's taking a toll on the individuals as well as families in the communities that they live. You know, the working class and essential workers, the people that have been taken really advantage of for the last years, all the time, they tend to get ignored. Okay, the working class people, they get treated like they don't exist. They're not real. Okay, and strangely enough, they're the hardest hit, and they're taking the brunt of all this in this pandemic. Okay, it's our senior citizens in nursing homes and long-term care facilities and the staff that take care of them. Okay, it's the healthcare workers, the store clerks, the transit workers, the bus drivers, police and fire departments, specifically in the states with high COVID cases that are sick and dying. Now, it's the postal workers, the FedEx, UPS, and other delivery services, and it's the folks in the front lines of TSA in the busiest airports, and it's over 3,500 U.S. service members that have already tested positive. It's also more than 5,000 reported cases and over 13 deaths of workers in at least 48 different food processing plants and at least 10 different states. These are the people getting hit the hardest, all the working class folks that keep this nation running on a daily basis. Now, on Sunday, Tyson Food, the chairman there, John Tyson, said in a blog post that the U.S. food supply chain is breaking and that millions of pounds of meat are going to just disappear from the plants as they close. Well, faced with the worries of the meat shortage caused by COVID, President Trump went and used the Defense Production Act on today's Tuesday, yesterday, and he ordered the plants to remain open. Again, it's amazing how quickly he went and he protected the companies, but there's no provisions in there for the workers that are left out. They're only getting paid $10 an hour for all intents and purposes. And they're just hoping that somehow or other that they and their families are going to be protected when they have to go back to work. Now, some of the local economies have already been shutting these plants down because of the outbreaks that surround the economies themselves, that surround the plants themselves. And it's most of the time in a small town, that plant is your main employer. So mayors have been shutting these things down, or trying to, and they're walking a fine line between things. And it's difficult right now. I mean, right now the stock market is slowly starting to come back, past week or so. I don't know how long it's going to really last. Right now, some companies are doing exceptionally well. Okay, some are, borderline, and some are actually blatantly price gouging. That's why they're doing so well. And in a time of national crisis, you really start to wonder. Now, you already know the brick and mortar stores, the retailers, the national stores like Macy's and Target, and a lot of the clothing chains, okay, they're getting killed right now. and they might not be able to make it back. Every day there's a bigger push, starting with the president, okay, to force the governors to open their states. And of the close to dozen states that are trying to open in some way, shape, or form, okay, right now, okay, none of them have met what the president's own task force had said was a minimum actual requirement of 14 days, showing a slowing rate of cases. Now, I find it interesting that the president will use the Defense Production Act in just 2 days to make sure we get pork chops and burgers on our plates, but here we are 4 months into the pandemic, 2 months since he acknowledged it, and we've only tested less than 2% of the population. And he doesn't use the Defense Production Act for the testing to get done, to take charge of the supply chain, all the component parts, the reagents and the swabs, and the distribution. If people want to, really get control of this, get back to work, they need to get the politics out of this and get the testing done. And that's why it's still not happening. It drives me crazy. I don't understand why. Okay, it's 100% his responsibility. Okay, he's the only one who could put the Defense Production Act into place. He did it very quickly. Okay, in just 2 days for the meat packers. Okay, but for the testing that we need nationwide, that hasn't happened yet. Now, I have no idea what type of political or financial interest that he has that might be preventing him from doing what's needed and what's right for the country. But obviously there's something going on. However, even despite the ruckus caused by a few people, the attention-seeking crowds with all the demonstrations, 91% of the people in this country right now think it's too early to open for sports. Okay, and that's the thing that people like the most in times like this. They lose themselves and there is a chance to escape, basically. And 91% think that it's too early for sports. 85% think it's too early to open the schools. They just don't think it's safe for the kids. 65% feel the same way about restaurants and businesses. So even if it's okay to go back to work, how confident could you possibly be that your coworker is not really an asymptomatic carrier of COVID? The problem is you just don't know, and you can never really be certain without a lot of widespread on-site testing. Basically with immediate results. And that testing is not available, no matter what anybody says at the White House. Okay, no matter what White House briefing is going on, they tell you, they come up here, oh yeah, all the testing you want, no problem at all. That's great, okay? But what they're not telling you is that, all the testing is available whenever you want it, if you happen to be on the White House staff. Okay, then the testing is available to you. Nobody else, though, can get it. The governors can tell you that they can't get the testing. If they could get the testing, they wouldn't be complaining right now. Doctors and nurses on the front lines, okay, are still having a hard time getting testing. Okay, you really got to be sick in order to get a test. Remember, the president said, if you want a test, you can get a test. Remember that? Okay. He failed to mention, though, for that to really be true, you need to be in a White House staff that interacts with the president on a daily basis, because no one else is seeing that testing right now. If the testing got done, and then in order to get back to work, you still need a system of contact tracing in place. Okay. So if somebody tested positive, you need somebody else to go back and backtrack, okay, basically for 2 weeks, who this person came in contact with. You need somebody to do that. That happens on a federal level. You need a lot of people to do that with some training. Not a lot of training, but some training. Now, that would be a really great job opportunity for some people to go back to work. However, it's just like the adequate testing on a large scale. It just doesn't exist. You may not know, but the numbers, but there should be no surprise. The U.S. economy right now is showing signs of a recession. It shrank 4.8% in the first quarter due to COVID. That's the fastest drop in any point in time since the Great Recession. Now, the economists think that this decline is just the start of some bad news. Okay, the first quarter numbers include January and February, but the surge of COVID cases didn't really start until March. So the full damage is not really going to show in the data until the second quarter is actually in. What does all this mean to you? Okay, that's the only real question that really counts. The rest of us just make-believe numbers. The stock market crashes every 7 to 10 years on average. This one's about 10 and a half years out. Okay, something is always happening. You don't know what it's going to be, but something always happens that causes the market to crash. Now, maybe you were ready, maybe you weren't. Okay, most people were nowhere near ready for it. We're not a good nation of savers. We're really not. Okay, and most people, they don't have 6 months worth of savings. Most people don't have 3 months worth of savings. Most people have a hard time making it to the end of the month. They don't have that kind of liquid cash reserves. So, but it did happen. Now, what do you do now? If you're in one of those non-essential jobs and you are seriously impacted right now, you're just out there trying to survive. Okay, you're looking for your unemployment. Hopefully, you manage to get that. But things are not good for you right now. Okay? If you're in one of the essential jobs, by the nature of your job, you could telecommute, then you've been seriously inconvenienced, especially if you got a kid at home at school, right? A school-aged kid at home. But you haven't been crippled. Okay, for you, you're just trying to recover at this point in time. It's uncomfortable, but you're not in the food line at least. Okay, some people are actually thriving. Okay, at this point in time, some people are actually thriving. It's hard to believe, but it is. Okay, now, if you've got a Plan A job that you thought was so secure that you reluctantly believed was your future, that's in question right now. You need a Plan B. That Plan B needs to be something you get to control in good times as well as bad. Now's the time to start. Start investigating. Start planning. What could that look like for you? What type of Plan B job? That Plan B job generally is going to be some kind of a business. Something that you control. Again, it will allow you to control your life and your money. Don't put it off. Okay? Don't put it off. Don't be a victim of the times where that 1% that have been getting all the tax breaks for the last 30, 40 years or so. Okay? You don't need to be a victim. This is your time to make a plan for you and your family that will put you in control of both your life as well as your money. If you need help with that, okay, you need some ideas, email me. I'll see if I can point you in the right direction. Something that might work for you. Okay? I'll be posting this video tomorrow on my YouTube channel. Again, every day I've got a little surprise there. It's a little present. So I'll be posting that. My only goal is to help you get, protect, and enjoy your money, your life, and your retirement. So I'm Dr. Fred Rouse, the Real Money Doctor. I appreciate you being here. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow around 7 o'clock. Thank you.